Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now this is a Phenom based gaming PC that I bought from Cash Converters here in the UK. Cash Converters, like CEX, deals with second-hand goods. You can buy stuff from them, sell stuff to them, and I found some pretty decent deals there over the years. I hoped that the system concealed within this mass of bubble wrap and cellophane would be one such find. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my experience with buying from Cash Converters as well as reviewing the PC build itself. Please excuse my socks, slippers and shorts combo while I cut away at the bulk of the packaging. It's called Fashion, by the way, look it up. Okay, so this machine was described as an old school gaming PC, ideal for playing older games. It was described as functional with light cosmetic wear with some scratches and dust. That's fine, it's an old system. I always expect to get the dust included with used pre-builts too, especially from shops that deal with a wide range of second-hand goods. They probably don't have the time to clean it up, and they certainly don't want the risk of breaking anything. That said, it has, according to these stickers, been wiped and marked as safe. What the requirements are to pass the tested for safety requirement, I don't know, but as long as it doesn't short my fuse box or burn my bedroom down, well, I'm happy. Upon first inspection of the inside, I'm glad to see that some thought has been put into protecting the components. Now, I can't answer the question how good is bubble wrap as an anti-static material, but I do know it's wonderful at preventing breakages, so it's nice to see that even though I spent just £80, roughly $100, this decade-old machine has been treated with care. Big up to the team at the Acox Green branch in Birmingham, who not only made sure that the PC arrived safe, but it turned up within just 2 days of ordering as well. Now though, it's on to the review of the actual system. Cash Converters are in no way responsible for this part. The next part of the video is all about slating or praising, but mostly sensibly discussing the build quality of the PC itself. I think the last owner of this machine wasn't the original builder, and I'll tell you why. There's an odd mix of high-end and budget in here. On one hand, we've got the Phenom X6 1090T and Radeon HD 6970, two top-tier components back in 2010. We've also got what looks like once decent memory and a beefy CPU cooler. On the other hand, we've got two additional different brand RAM modules in here, and the whole thing is powered by a power supply that doesn't look up to the job. In fact, it's got a Molex to PCIe adapter attached to it, as well as another adapter for the IDE hard drive and DVD drive. I think someone at some point bought this machine, either used or part built, and then finished it off or upgraded it with a lesser budget. Some cheap RAM and a PSU with not enough connectors? Yeah, that'll do. The IDE hard drive and DVD drives don't necessarily reflect this because these parts might have been reused by the OG builder from a PC put together before this one. The fact that the motherboard is AM2+, not AM3, also supports this. It's as if the PC was built with a weaker CPU, and then when the Phenom came out it was dropped in here as a replacement. The Phenom of course works with DDR2 or DDR3 memory depending on the platform it's used with. How the older platform and DDR2 memory affects performance is something we'll have to look into another time. The whole AM2, AM2+, and AM3 socket compatibility situation is an interesting one, and again that's something we'll have to talk about more in another video, because for now we should really discuss the performance of this system. Now I know I badmouthed the PSU earlier, but look, it works and it's clearly worked for some time. It just isn't the right PSU for the job at hand, in my opinion. While upgrading that would be a key concern of mine, swapping out the old IDE drive for an SSD or new hard drive would be an even more pressing matter. Now as stated, the PC has been wiped and we've got an as-new version of Windows 10, but my goodness, the speed! I could ride a unicycle from London to Scotland faster than this thing could install the updates. Wanna know why my last upload was 3 days ago? This bloody thing. 88 to 96% installation, for example, took 5 hours, and in the end, I just gave up. Stay on the last Windows 10 version. See if I care. The older motherboard, slower memory and knackered hard drive are what's stopping this old beast from reaching its full potential, and we'll have to sort out these things before we benchmark this combo properly, But let's not forget that the end of driver support for the graphics card, 6GB of RAM, and lack of certain CPU instruction sets are also problematic for a build like this in 2022. This is certainly suited for older games, but I did manage to painstakingly install a couple of my favourites and play them. By the time CSGO and GTA had finished installing though, my patience had already made like my dad and left. So MSI Afterburner was out and the built-in Windows game monitoring thing was in. I'll have more benchmarks soon and we'll be using a better board and RAM to boot. CSGO is playable on this system, but I think the RAM is the main issue, especially as the system is using most of it. The game averaged over 80 FPS with some noticeable dips and drops. Not a terrible experience by any means, but I can't wait to get this CPU in a newer platform with more memory to see what it can truly do these days, despite its notable flaws. Cache Converters were right when they said this thing is better suited to old games. I couldn't agree more. They didn't try to upsell this thing, they just listed it at a sensible price with honesty. GTA 5 is what I'd now call an older game, but it's still too new for this thing. I don't think the IDE drive is helping. The load times were atrocious, but actually in game, and once again I think it's the RAM that's the biggest issue, causing a lot of the dips that we're experiencing in busier areas. As I said before, I'll be benchmarking the processor properly another time and testing the graphics card on its own too, perhaps with newer custom drivers to ensure that it's given the best chance at showing us what it's still capable of 12 years after release. There really isn't much else to say for this one. This is what was inside my £80 or $100 pawn shop PC. I am pretty happy with it honestly, because older parts like this can have quite the unexpected retail value these days too. So when I come to sell everything, I should hopefully get my money back, and maybe a little bit more. Old systems like this can sometimes be overpriced, but if you can find one at a decent cost like I think I've done here, well, there might be a few hidden gems inside, especially when you consider the motherboard, the power supply, not in this case, and the RAM, for example. There might be some good old decent named components in here that these days are getting harder to find, and potential buyers might be willing to spend a little bit more. It could be a good way of making a little bit of money if you can find older pre-builts cheap enough. With all that said then, thank you very much for watching this one. Let me know what you think of this build in the description, or what upgrades we should do. We'll be testing the Phenom X6 1090T another time in a better board, and we'll also be testing the HD 6970 in another video, perhaps the next one, because I think there might still be some potential there once we've installed some custom or modded drivers. It doesn't support anything past DX11, not even DX11.1 or anything like that, it's just old DX11, but this was a beast back in the day, and hopefully it's retained some of its power, but we'll have to find out another time. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like, leave a dislike if you didn't, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next one.